so I'm not something wrong with me. I don't know. That's scary. So, coming in the first meeting of the year, got a couple of business items we need to get knocked out. Bree's going to have a couple of things to talk about here in a few minutes. So let's start with what's going to take the most thought. Did anybody work on a nice show theme for this year? Start.
Reach for the stars.
Dance on it. I give him a little mirror balls as trophies.
Every year, victory.
Are we typing or taking notes by typing? Wow, that's stenographer there. Alright, so right now.
What was the second one?
Any particular time frame of yours, Steve?
1965. That was never the actual involvement. We first sent conduct troops to Vietnam. And that was, we had advisors, but up until the Marines landed and the first air movement in 1965, the involvement was minimal.
I'm thinking we should steal the group build thing for Rex.
What was the one you had? Regional stars? Did you have particular anything to do with it, or just as a general?
Space program, what my mind thinks.
Wonder going wrong. We've got Maria's thinking we could just continue the group build thing and use RECT as a show thing, because that it covers everything. Anything.
Well, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
But, you know,
At least you would have something built for the show.
our show is wrecked.
Well, it's got a point with that. It's all over wording.
Yeah, it's all in the wording of that.
But we didn't say you were a wreck, Steve. We said the show was wrecked.
The show, well, that's what I'm talking about.
Personally, I'd hate for my first one to be wrecked. Yeah, there's something to be proud of. How'd your show go? Wrecked. Okay. For consideration right now, we have 4. Is there anybody else who's got some ideas, thoughts?
All we have so far. Years.
Are you keeping up with this one?
Reach for the stars.
Okay. Well, which ones did you get?
Years since Vietnam. Stars.
Victory in the Pacific. 70 years. When you want to let everybody ponder these for a month, and then next meeting
That's fine.
we
I would
we'll
definitely
get some
like to
information
look
out
over it.
about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I go ahead and go through, or are you ready for me to go through what little bit of show news I have? Or do you want me to?
Well, as long as we're rolling with show stuff, go for it.
Okay. I did lock us in for the venue, so we are locked in for that one. I haven't done any payment, of course, but we're locked in for the ballroom, or at least I know. I can't talk any louder than this. I'm sorry. I just can't. I know you're deaf, but
Yes, you can, baby.
I heard you.
so we're locked in for the 3 rooms on the ballroom.
We're locked in for the 3 rooms on the ballroom.
If there's any small children, I can't do what I need to do. I also sent us in for IPMS to get us on the IPMS calendar, so we're on for that specific date, and we're locked in for that too. So, yay! That's it.
All right, good. It's all moving like it's supposed to.
Exactly.
That's all we can ask. All right. show stuff. You want to do the foreman stuff while you're at it?
Okay. So as y'all know, we killed the old forum as of the end of the month last month, and now we need to decide on if we're going to create a new forum or if we want to switch over to something like Facebook or if we want to do both. So the options that we have are creating a new forum. We can do it directly through the web host site that we're using, so it would be on the website just like it was set up before. You would still have the ability to post up pictures, all that kind of stuff, but there's some cost that goes to that. It's cheaper than the old forum, but there still would be some cost. The other option would be to create a group on Facebook where you can go in. I don't know if any of y'all are in the IPMS groups on Facebook, but it's just like that. So anybody can go in, post pictures, videos, text, or whatever, and it follows in a straight streamline. So it's not like the club's Facebook page where everything kind of gets hidden off to the side except for the club's post. And that obviously is free, but you have to be on Facebook to post. So there's those two options, or we could do both, whichever one works out.
On the Facebook option, is the idea to have somebody moderate?
Yes. We would have on both options, we would have the ability to set up moderators so everything could be approved or not. But both of them have their pros and both of them have their cons. But the question is with the way that the forum was going, do we want to continue to pay for something that's not used by very many people or very often? Or do we want to just go the Facebook route that's free and give that a shot for a while?
Well, how many guys in the club use Facebook?
You use Facebook.
I don't. I'm just giving a motion. I'm prompting you. So you see, there's now the club that doesn't have Facebook. So that would eliminate.
They don't. They may not use it. They have that option. All they have to do is sign up.
So if you don't sign up, you don't have Facebook.
Right.
You can still go in and look.
They still don't look, yes.
So you couldn't post pictures.
You couldn't post pictures.
The forum was set up if you didn't join, you couldn't post it.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, so right now the choice is going to be another forum type setup that's minimally used, that costs us some money, or the Facebook option, which
Free.
is free. Even with the Facebook option, you can still go in, even if you're not on Facebook, because I'm not, you can go in, you can still look at the club site, you can see what the meeting notes were, you can see pictures that other people put in. You just can't post anything, but you can still check it out until you decide to sign it. So there's what we got, the decision. Do we want to try another forum that's going to cost some money that hardly anybody uses, or just stay with the three things on Facebook for a while and see how that fits?
Everybody for Facebook raising it.
Opposed? That looks like it's good to me.
Okay, we'll start with the Facebook option, and just remember, if we get down the road and we realize that we really do want a forum, it's not hard to add it up or add on to it. So we don't have to just stick with this forever.
Matt, you want to do the survey
Yeah.
thing there?
All right, so I have here our 2015 membership survey. Please fill these out and let us know. Go back to us, help us know what direction to take the club in. We'll take the results of these that you want to go over.
You want these back today? If we can, I would like to try and get them back today so that we can go ahead and start working on that and see what kind of results we get. Go cover.
on.
All right, like Matt said, good surveys are coming around for everybody. You go ahead and, this is your chance to get an input here on what direction the club goes, what you like, don't like. We can start taking all these inputs and see where we need to keep going what we're doing, or we need to start maybe looking at the change. We all know the group field, of course, will be ranked in July. We just got that.
The extras
Okay.
laying around?
The ref boxes going around, so be working on that too. Just keep things going. Bob will be doing our demo here shortly. And he's going to be covering cannons and such cannonades, I reckon. Yay!
And speaking of which,
More than one
we
silver.
have a February demo. We wish to have a March demo. I need some volunteers.
I'll do one, Rick.
Get one of these.
Rick, I'll do one.
Okay, 1, 5, March.
For those of you who are doing the plastic tech classes, we are still waiting to get an updated schedule for the year.
You know, yesterday,
You didn't email me a schedule.
2 days ago, yeah, I did. I get emailed these dates.
You didn't. You sent me John's email address, but you didn't send me the dates.
I give them to you.
Okay, we have them. They're somewhere in transit. Are you check?
No, I have them on my phone right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Over here on the table, Roger acquired a whole bunch of those die-cast type of planes and such over there for y'all today. Besides your 10% membership discount, he'll give you another 10% off of those if you want to collect some of those. The little brown boxes there are just the standard testers, styrene glue. Those are free. So you grab a couple, 3 tubes, whatever you need. Unless you're still on dangerous, there's no
How you feeling, Steve?
Okay, if you're ready, got your surveys ready? Yeah. Why don't we do that? Yeah, the handout will let you know.
You wish.
Your dinner depends on everything else. We give y'all a few more minutes to get your surveys and everything taken care of. Get this back around. Have all the actual business is just about taken care of, so we're just give him a few more minutes. That way Bob will be able to work on his anecdote. And if y'all, I know most of y'all know what kind of work he does, so this will be really, really good. Picking out some tips that he's the way he does this.
I told him that the drawing is to get a B, so we're going to put your name in the bottom.
This is coming from a low rock fiber.
No, I'm the funniest, not the funniest.
Half the time this is a comedy show anyway. I have the updated information on the Plastic Tech South. This month will be the 12th and 26th. And then February will be the 9th and the 23rd. Give them right over here. 9th and 23rd.
Got another subject for the possible theme.
I hate that smirk when it starts.
No, it's really cool, actually. 50 Shades of Green.
I like Ricky Dixie wants showing up to this deal.
There was a guy on one of the Facebook posts.
That right there concerns me.
No, hold on. It was in one of the model groups. And he's apparently new in figures. He's wanted to do a Vietnam figure. He says, does anybody know the color scheme for U.S. Army uniforms in Vietnam? My response was, color scheme? 50 Shades of Green. I mean, come on, man. You wash a pair of fatigues, what do they do?
The movie does come out in February.
They change it.
What was that?
The movie does come out in February on Valentine's Day.
I mean, because that can involve everything.
Hey, come on, man. You can do anything
I'm
for
just
hard.
hard. That's the problem with anything.
You see what I'm getting at, though, okay? Come on.
Coming from a new dude, he's thinking, how did she just tell me what color to paint is? I like the answer. I really do.
Yeah, see, only honesty.
No, I know. I was thinking from a new guy, just like, ridiculous. Just tell me a best number to paint.
But it wasn't like this.
He's got it, fella. I can't argue his point.
Yeah, no, I know that, and you know that, and these guys know that. The new person is like, give me that best number.
Well, this is.
It's just a thought.
Well, we put it out there. Of course, it happens. Everybody says no. Personally, it's fascinating.
It opens every option possible out there.
I like it.
It almost, but
There's a possibility that it doesn't open unless you have like a disease or something.
but even then.
That opens up the science fiction canon.
Yes, it does.
That's what I'm doing.
I mean, it does. It touches everything. Green is green.
That's right.
Say that's what I was
Some U.S. Marines on the side of the Enterprise, camouflage. I like it.
And Bob's wooden ship, we could have one with a patina copper lower hull. So it'd be green.
Just put permit stickers on
And I'll tell you,
everything.
for those of the Star Trek persuasion, they love when it's green.
true.
You're just like
So, those, in case y'all were not with this thing down here, another option for the show things that they were going forward. 50 Shades of Green. Yeah, the implications are really out there.
That's a good word.
Exactly, and that's what the discussion was. That right there, could, yeah, everything would fit that. other consideration out there now. With other ones, they'll be listed up with notes. Got February, we'll take our vote. So I kind of got an idea how the time going now.
Do we want to vote now?
You want to vote now?
I'm guessing we possibly could.
I put a motion that we vote on this.
Let's vote.
Right through the 4, 5.
Yep. All right. Motion's been put up. Go ahead and put the show theme on the floor for vote. Right now, there are five options. Reach for the stars. Correct. 1945, victory in the Pacific. Vietnam, 1965, it's been 70 years since first major involvements. And 50 Shades of Green. We'll start with simple. 50 Shades of Green. I need some help counting.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Why is the accountant not counting?
Because he never says anything.
When I'm not an accountant, they don't start at 7 o'clock in the morning.
All right. Reach for the stars. 1945, victory in Pacific.
3, 4, 5, 6, 6.
Correct.
0.
70 years first involvement in Vietnam. Motion carries, sports fans.
Now we'll wait to see how many other clubs come up with that idea.
So we need to get the theme out there fast.
Guarantee you there'll be more than one.
Talk to that one. I need my show flyer.
I think that was a
All right.
accusatory
With
statement.
that being said, does anybody have any last 3 attacks on business? Mr. Hyde, I'm turning it over to you for your demo.
When I started doing demos last fall, I decided it might be a good idea to show you all what it takes to build one of these. Unfortunately, I was too far along to show some of this, but the last couple of demos I showed you how to plank a deck and build the hatch covers and stuff in the deck. Another prominent feature of all your old sailing warships are the cannon. This particular model came with what I call fake guns for the bottom deck. This is what they give you, is a gun barrel that's got a pin on it. You're supposed to put a wall inside the gun port and install these into the hole that you drill in it. And if you all know me, that's not how I do things. Besides that, in this particular kit, I thought these were quite oversized for representing a 30-pound cannon. They may have been thinking about the 42-pounders that were originally on this ship. I did some searching, came up with a website back east that you got to be careful if you go to it. I don't even remember the name of it now, so it won't be a problem. But you can get some rather interesting websites when you Google this thing. It's actually sirens.com. And you can imagine some of the things that come out of that.
Mona, you better watch out for him.
Little side note, she called me one day, she was watching that home shopping channel. She said, I want this comforter, call this number. The number I got, and said, hello boys. I just called her back and said, I think you got the wrong number. Anyhow, I found these at sirens.com. You get the gun barrels in one package and the frames in another, and by the time you put them together, it's $26 for 4 pins. So I needed 30, so that didn't really look too feasible. They're beautiful guns, but you know. So what I came up with was the model shipways guns. These are a set that's made for their Constitution model if you cut out the second deck and put real guns on them. They turn out to be a pretty good size if you compare them to the 24-pounder gun in the kit to be for a 30-pounder. These cost me $50 for 30 of them. It took quite a bit of extra building to get where I was there on the ship out of this little package. Unless you're actually doing that you're not going to run into this in a ship model kit. This is what you get in a ship model, good representation of what your gun package looks like. These are gun wheels. These are what I call trunnions. There's the gun barrels, there's 24 pounders, and then these are 12 pounders. You'd have to figure out which ones are which is pretty easy just going by size. All of this other stuff here is aftermarket stuff that I bought. You can get all of it from Roger, the Model Shipways website. If you're going to be working on these sailing ships, you'll need a lot of aftermarket stuff. There's over 400 eye bolts and rings on this deck, and there's 60 in the kit. So I buy them by the box full. My fittings, these are the little rings I buy. They're all brass. I dip them in black in it, and they come out looking pretty good. These are eye bolts, again, Model Shipway stuff. They're not expensive. You get about 50 of them for $15. That's some of the pieces you need. These are aftermarket rigging blocks. There's never enough in a kit. I've been practicing a little here this morning, and I'm not having any luck. Your rigging blocks, you have to drill the holes out, or you'll never get a thread through. You want to use the biggest drill bit you can find that doesn't just tear the block up, and apparently this one's too big. But when you're drilling these, I drill them in between my fingers like this, and when the bit goes through, it just goes between my fingers. A couple times it didn't. You'll learn how to do that. But you got to enlarge those holes. On the HMS Victory on the website, it shows the guns with a double block on the gun and a single block on the deck for your rigging for your train tackle and your recoil tackle. Later on in the demo, I'll show you how to do the Beckett blocks on the deck, which anytime you have a double and a single has to have a loop on it so you can tie off your rigging to that. On this one, I'm going to be primarily concerned with the double block. This is what a sheet of gun frames looks like in a kit. There's also some pieces here for bolts. You have matching pairs of gun frames, a right and a left, and then your center boards are all the same. You just have to be careful cutting those out. This particular kit has actual axle holes in the gun frame. A lot of them will just have a flat bottom, in which case when you get the frame put together, you can take a small round file and just file a little groove in the bottom of it for your axle. I'm going to put this away because it's away. You glue the three pieces together, line them up so that the bottom piece doesn't show from the sides. And of course, let those dry. Then your axles in this particular kit consist of this brass wire, which is in a roll. You have to straighten it. And what I did was measure across the carriage. Measures about 12 millimeters, and you want about 2 millimeters for each gun wheel and a little bit extra. So I figured 17 on the front axles and 15 on the back axles. What I do is take my brass wire and lay it out like that on my measuring stick. Then with my side cutters, just cut a piece like that, you've got your axle. If it comes out too long, you can sand it off or cut it off. And something I ran into on these, the axle wire is too big for the hole in the gun carriage, so once again you got to get your little pin vise out and drill the hole out. Then I managed to break one of these. You want to thread your axle through there. Might have to take my glasses off to see this. Well, it's not wanting to go, but anyways, you thread it through both ends, get it about even, and you're good to go on that. I've got one put together here. This is the one I broke, but I went ahead and glued the axles on it. That has the two axles on the bottom of it already. The next thing I do with that is take the gun wheels, which the small ones go on the back, put a little super glue on the axle. It's a little bit too much. See how many of these I can draw. Put the wheel on there. You get your big gun wheel. There's usually some extra wheels in the kit, but don't count on it. Try not to lose them. Because I don't know where you would get them at.
Plastic lockers have the same issue. We usually don't get extras.
We usually spend a lot of time on our hands and knees on the floor. Where'd that part go?
They go into another dimension.
The carpet monster.
Yeah.
So there's your carriage with the gun wheels on it. I've pre-prepared these gun barrels and cut the spindle out of this same wire. That's just glued in there with super glue. Now as you can see, these are brass. I formulated my own bronze paint with brass paint and both flat black mixed together, and I just kept mixing it until it came out. I like the way it looked on these, so that's what I'm using. The brass, if you want a presentation model, it's supposed to be a model, it looks fine. It's very showy, but I prefer the realism of this. Now each one of these particular guns has a little loop on the back for the rope that holds it when they fire it. Once again, the loops weren't big enough for any kind of reasonable size thread, so I've drilled those out. Which I don't know how they put those on there, but I managed to break one off. It's kind of like soldered on there. Anyways, you take your gun barrel and fit it on there like that. And I always super glue it down. Get it about even. Once again, if it sticks out on one side, you can always take care of that later. And these little trunnions, I call them, super glue those over the top of that. You can start seeing where the hours come from in one of these when you're thinking about 104 of these guns. I believe this gun here has 36 pieces in it already. So then get those on there, and you want to let that dry. I'm not going to do it here, but what you need to do to make it look like this, once this is set and dried, take your nail size drill bit and drill a hole where each one of those is, very shallow. And take one of the model nails. I usually hold it in a pair of pliers and clip the end of it off so that you've got a very short stub. Then after you drill that hole, you can stick this down into that hole with super glue, and it gives you that effect of having a mold in it. But you can see that on here. What's that?
How many of those can you work upon at one time? You just
The gun?
Yeah.
I'll generally set out 3 or 4 and try and do them at once. That way you're not just doing the same thing over. You're doing the same thing over and over again, but you get a lot more done. These guns here, I think I built 4 at a time, and they were a tedious process because not only did you have to shape the axles, you had to stain the carriage. The whole thing was just a large project. The little covers over the guns on these guns, I actually had to cut out a brass strip. And I figured out a method of cutting those, and I took my little round nose pliers and I could bend the little loop in it to go over the trunnion. And then I just glued them on there without the nail. You're not going to see them anyways, but I like the detail. Once this is dry, you have to drill a hole in the frame in 2 of the steps for what I'm doing, I have both the recoil tackle and the train tackle on these guns. So you need 4 holes in there. And then on the side you have to have a hole for the big rope that goes through the loop on the back. You want to go down here about halfway up on this first frame. Can't tell you how many times I've stuck one of these drill bits in my hand. At my age, I don't feel much anymore anyway. I just hate getting the blood on the model. You get those 2 holes in the side, get your 2 eye bolts. Once again, I hold it in a pair of pliers. Of course, these are made too long so that you can use them for a lot of things. Cut them off pretty short. Super glue the pin of it. And put it in that little hole you drilled. Do that on both sides. These little nails in the kit, usually a number 0.24 or 0.25 drill bit is your best bet on drilling holes for them. You don't want the hole too big or everything's loose. Now to do these blocks, like I said, you have to drill them out. I was trying some here earlier today and I was breaking most of them, so I'm not going to try and do that. Beeswax is an essential on ship rigging. Get your thread waxed up. Tie a loop. Put your blocks in it with the hole next to the knot. Just a simple half hitch with glue in it. Glue holds the knot, it also helps hold the thread on the block. Get those done. Like I say, there's 4 for each gun. I don't think I need to do all of them here. Thread your eye bolt on there. Again, you tie a half hitch in it. You can use fancy knots if you want to, but there's really no point. Actually able to tie knots today. I'm usually so nervous I can't. Trim the ends of that off. Once again, put it in your pliers. Kind of have to guess at how long this is from the hole you drill, but usually once you get used to doing it, you'll just see it by eye. Super glue the shaft of that. Then if you can find the little hole you drill, stick that in there so it can hang out the side. You'll be doing 4 of those. One other thing you do to make an authentic gun, this is 2x2 walnut strip. I didn't bring my miter box, so I can't show you how I cut it. I went ahead and cut a piece of this. And then once again, we go to the aftermarket stuff. These are a very small belaying pin. If you cut the pin part of it off, that leaves you just the head of it. This is a piece of that 2x2 strip, approximately 5 millimeters long, beveled off on one end. Put a little super glue on the flat end of that. Put this belaying pin handle. The electricity is really tough in here today. Stick that on there. And it's not going to work too good because I didn't bring my sander to flatten all this out. When that's put together and dry, in here under your gun barrel, this is the elevating block on the gun. Put a drop of super glue in there. Glue that under your gun barrel and it'll sit level. When you get your nails in it and your blocks all on it, that's how you got a gun. It ends up looking like this after you paint it. I decided to paint these after I build them because I've got a very small brush and it's a lot easier than trying to paint those tiny parts separately. So that's basically how you do a cannon in a nutshell.
Good.
Yeah, when you're doing 104 of them, it gets involved.
Is that probably one of the most time-consuming steps of your ships?
Yes.
Got the rigging?
That was quick.
The rigging is the most time-consuming.
Yeah.
On my surprise, I spent about 4 months tying the rope ladder.
Yeah.
And that was 5 hours a day. It was, I thought, am I ever going to get done with it?
Yeah.
It was 2,500 knots in the rope.
Yeah.
One at a time, measured 7 millimeters apart and glued in place.
That is why I
And I didn't even count the number of spools of thread I used.
Yeah.
Basically, if you're going to do a ship with this kind of detail in it, you're going to need a lot of aftermarket stuff. Reasonably unlimited budget.
Yeah, and a lot of time.
I've spent, this ship model cost $600, and I've spent probably another $400 on aftermarket stuff. It did not come with the copper. It didn't come
My whole
with the
collection is
guns
probably
on
less.
the back. But the stuff's all out there available, and Roger can get most of it for you if you're interested in doing it. You can even buy the cannon kits, I mean.
Yeah. There's worse things.
Yeah.
You will use a lot of drill bits. One thing I discovered on the drill bits for the nails, and I think I mentioned it once before, I generally break them off right above the last screw of the bit. The entire hull of this ship was built with a broken drill bit. You have to drill the hole for the nail. It's just a lot stronger when it's that short. And once you get through the planking into the plywood, it's drilled real easy.
Very nice, Bob.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you.
This is one of the pieces I'm trying to get done for the figure side. It is an industrial mechanica piece called the Black Moth. I have no idea why they call it the Black Moth. But anyway, it's a solid resin piece. Kind of goes along with the 50 Shades of Green. I'm kind of liking that because there's... Bree, do something with him.
What am I supposed to do?
Anyway, I'm probably about 80% complete with him. The gun is kind of plain. Drilled out some holes, put some copper tubing in there to make some gun barrels. I'm going to put a buttstock on it. My 11-year-old is encouraging me to build a grenade launcher and mount on the bottom of it, so that, time permitting, will happen. I'm going to put a dagger on his boot and maybe build a battle axe on him, kind of give the impression of a futuristic Viking Raider or something like that. Downloaded some pretty good moon symbols that I'm going to try to stencil on the side of the gun, and maybe even hang a skull or two from his belt before I'm done. Just kind of something to dress up the piece. But in 5 weeks I should be done in this thing on the base. Hope, whatever. Anyway, another thing that I've picked up that I'm going to try to have done for our show, Master Box has started the Zombie series. If any of you guys have seen Resident Evil, it's basically Alice on the motorcycle with a couple of zombies chasing her. Note to anybody that's thinking about doing this, it does not come with a motorcycle. So they have recommendations on the back of motorcycles to get in 35th scale for this particular kit. I just happen to have one, so thinking about trying to do a nice little diorama set with this. And, hopefully next meeting in February, thanks to Brian, wherever he is, it's all your fault. If anyone was here in December and saw and I have to brag on him, the absolutely amazing conversion that he did with the 48 scale Tiger, the walking Tiger, the sci-fi guy cannot be outdone. So I have a 35th scale version on my workbench that I hope to have in here. Thank you, it's your fault, I'll blame you.
We won't be here in February. We'll be in Atlanta.
Like I said, in March, when we come in here, you're right. That's because you always pick the months that we're going to be going to do it.
What month did you say for me? April?
Yeah.
Okay, we're good.
Anyway, that's it. I'm done. We're ready. Next. You.
Okay. All right. This is the aftermarket piece that I've been working on for the last 3 months, mastering. Yeah, 2 months really. This is the master. This is not a resin piece. It's going to be cast in resin. This is a tarp, an entire cold weather kit for a German half track. It's got the side curtains on it. Had. I'll show you the other side. This is one that has one of the panels unzipped on it. They basically fit up inside like this. It has the front panel unzipped. This one is the full side. And all the pieces kind of lock together. Up underneath it, they lock together. Then the doors, when I was here last time, I had basically had this done, and I had started on these, I think. These, I actually did the whole thing and then cut the holes out and then put plastic strip in there, and that was a little unnerving because the epoxy sculpt that I used was kind of fragile. And then these are the doors. There's 6 separate doors. All the doors are done individually. So I put location markers on the back of them. I put basically a part number on the back of each one so the modeler would know what position they're in on the vehicle because they all go in a specific spot. So there's 6 different doors. This morning at home I started on the open doors, which are basically, they're like Jeep doors. You know, they're just canvas doors that are latched on. So I'm doing a whole set to where they're unlatched and just hanging open. So you kind of mix and match them. And then these should go off to the manufacturer on Monday. But last Friday night I think it was, I did all the latches and the attachment points and all that kind of stuff on it. So I'm interested to see how he ends up casting this stuff. I can't imagine how he would do it. On the real one, these windows are filled with plastic sheet, like a Jeep. But we decided to leave them open because there's no real feasible way to do that. So they're open, and I actually went ahead and tapered the back sides of them so that the modeler could fill the back of the windows with plastic sheet on them without having to grind and worry about breaking those thin little pieces in the middle out. I did all that work ahead of time, which was kind of tedious. I spent pretty much all day yesterday in the shop working on just these. So but that's done, and I'm off to, once I finish the open doors, I'll be off to something else I've got to finish for the AMP show in Atlanta. But he's like, I got some other things I want to do. We'll see. We'll talk. But those are done. I'm not going to pass them around because they're extremely fragile at this point until they get casted. I use 2 different kinds of epoxy sculpt on. I used epoxy sculpt on most of it, and I used epoxy clay. So they look the same, they're different color. This is just FYI. The epoxy clay is a stiffer clay. When you mix it up, it's I don't know how to describe it. It's thicker. But I found when it dries, both of them are flexible, but the epoxy clay, if you bend it, it will break. Whereas the epoxy sculpt will break too, but you can bend it a lot farther. They're both flexible, but the epoxy clay is much more fragile when it's dry. So if you're ever doing something like that, that's thin, keep that in mind. That the epoxy sculpt is a lot more forgiving as far as moving it around. So that's all I got.
All right. I'm still working on my FT17 here. I've got about 2/3 of the way done painting. I still have a green to do, which hopefully get done today. So this is what I'm going for here. I'm doing a hard edge camouflage pattern, and I basically took the painting diagram, blew it up slightly, and then I put it underneath a pane of glass, put some masking tape on the glass, and traced out the lines. Spent about 2 hours laying the tape and about 15 minutes of painting. So, fun stuff. So hopefully today I'll get the rest of that done. I've got the tracks done. These tracks were awesome. These are all individual link tracks, and each little piece required just a little bit of cleanup, just a few passes of a sander to remove a little nib there. But I banged these tracks out. They're 32 links per side in about 15 minutes at your house?
Right, with a cerveza in one hand,
yeah,
tracks in the other.
yeah.
To say that they were easy is putting it mildly.
Yeah, it's very. I really like them. They're really cool.
Done.
And
seriously?
Using Vallejo Model Air to paint with. The first time I really use this stuff, I really like it.
It's great.
It's yeah.
You don't have to thin it.
Exactly.
And it gets on well and stays on.
Yeah. I'm really liking it. I'm gonna keep using this stuff. My other project I've got going on is a 72nd scale Dragon Gemini spacecraft. This is going to be the first manned spacewalk, and I got it assembled. It's a pretty simple kit, and I'm still working on painting it. So hopefully I'll get this done in the next month or so too. That's what I got.
I'm about done with my little diorama featuring the Trumper T90 Russian tank. Just put this on a cellular clay base with this little mound here with actual hard clay. Painting it with pigments from AK, Dark Earth, and just doing wash after wash on it. And like I said, I'm about done. The figures are from Zvezda, and actually they turned out pretty well. Some of their figures, I've got a couple of other boxes of their figures. They don't look very realistic, but these I thought looked pretty good. So anyway, I'm about done with this. I'm going to take it to Shreveport in a couple of months, see how it does. And also in the meantime, I've done this little Tamiya / Italieri Puma. Mainly I did this over a couple of days just to take a break from this project. I used Vallejo Air on this armored car and on the tank also. And like Matt said, I was really impressed with that Vallejo, and also the way it's easy to clean up and get it out with the brush when you're done with it. So I'll keep using it too, and with my Tamiya. So that's it. I'm working on a couple of other projects too, but I just thought I'd bring these because they're done or close to done. That's all I got.
I just picked up a few kits. I got the new Hobby Boss Spider. It's a real impressive. I'm glad that had a lid on it. This is a real impressive kit. Kind of pricey, but
It's a lot of kit
real good. Cami F4J, V6. But I was really impressed with this Soviet kit here, and if anyone wants to come look at these, feel free to look at them. That's all I got.
No, I just picked this one up 10 minutes ago. Ravel's 77 Fireworks what I've seen of it overall, it looks like a really good kit compared to the PC crap that NPC always releases. Their Blackbird issue, the best thing about that car is the metallic gold decals. Other than that, take the decals out and trash it. Get this one, it seems to be a better kit. No, probably black. I'm trying to decide if I want to keep it out of the box, like just smoking a bandit car, or if I want to make it look like the Fast 5, the black and gold Trans Am at the beginning of Fast 5.
Just throwing that out there.
Appreciate it.
What I've got here is a Trumpeter KV2. It's pretty much out of the box. The only modification I did was air intakes on it out of wedding veil. The other vehicle there is, again by Trumpeter, it is their LAV, and it's going to be a track vehicle. Where exactly I'm going with that one, I'm not quite sure, but take an 8-wheel vehicle, turn it into a track vehicle, and see what I get. For ordnance on top, I'm thinking something low slung rockets.
Did you handmade that It's no airbrush, right?
No airbrush. I don't own an airbrush. Well, actually, I do. I've used it once.
Just not there.
Yeah, just not there. In fact, the only thing I've ever used airbrush on was that pickup truck I brought, that Weather Beat pickup truck. That's the only time I used it. That was the first time I've ever used a hairspray method. And that's about it. I've had that for a while. The damage on the side, nothing special. It's the hard plastic tracks. Just a little bending, a little bit of hot water to get them to bend just right to drape over the tracks, over the wheels. But that's about it.
Those are really nice kits.
Yeah, Trumpeter kits, I kind of like them because they're easy.
Those are easy.
Yeah.
Because that was like one of their first ones.
Yeah,
They're really nice.
their KV series are easy.
Yes, they're really nice.
And got good detail, and crisp detail, and not too complicated, and a good price on it as well.
Unlike also the Durafix.
Good job. It's a really good job. I like the way you weathered that one. It's good. That is nice.
Like I said, combination of the hairspray method and sponge, to get
Excellent choices.
That's good. I'm impressed even more by the fact that it's not an airbrush finish.
slap paint on it. Got
I guess I'm next. I'm still working on sort of. I've got an actual 1-to-1 scale. New member here? Hi there. Do what?
Can't jump over that.
Like you said.
My name's Dave. First time coming here, and I'm a car guy, muscle car guy.
Sweet! I'm not alone.
That's all I've ever built. Started building models when I was about 8 years old till 15 or so, and then stopped for a really long time. Just here recently, I picked up and I brought a couple models. I'm just kind of seeing where I'm at against people that are very good. Because I figure on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably maybe a 4 or 5. I think I'm okay, but it's always nice to make a true comparison. And
hang in there when I first started back in 09. The only reason I ever won a medal in a contest is if I was in the back.
yeah. But
this group will hone your skills and make you into a home fine model if you're interested in that.
But when I paint and I use rattle can, and I think that sometimes I get frustrated, and if somebody has any tips about improving method, I mean, I'm probably never going to use an airbrush. I'll probably always use just rattle can paint because I'm not that enthusiastic. I mean, it's not that I'm not enthusiastic. I'm just not that dedicated as far as airbrushing and doing that. I don't have the kind of hours to spend exploring that option. But at any rate, I'd like to just show a couple of my cars.
Please.
And just get some opinion, and that's about it. And they're dusty. Kind of scrambled this morning to get them in a bag. And these are ones that I did not too long ago, last couple of years. Just kind of dusty.
So you're right there taking care of my pet peeves. Dust on model. That makes me crazy.
Yeah. This particular model is a model that I built in '71. Moved it, with me. Pulled it out of a box. Said I'm going to try to redo it. See how well I can come up with just whatever. And I'm not done with the hood yet. But of course, I try to make it a pro stock racer.
You built that model in '71?
No, I redid it.
Okay.
I built it as a kid, and then just here recently
restored
redid
it.
And this is one that I did kind of pretty recently again.
Is that Hemi Dart kit?
Yes, it is. And I was happy with the paint, and of course I try to hand brush the moldings on the windshield. And of course, it never comes out perfect. So, but that's kind of where I'm at, my skill level, and
Very nice. I'm impressed. I am too. That 69 Mach 1's kicking. I like that.
Yeah, I like the color on that.
that was a good color choice.
You know what kits you use on those?
I want to say this might be an MPC it's from '71. I think
Yeah,
this is that Hemi Dart.
That's a Rebel
I think
kit.
that's a Rebel kit.
And that 69 Mustang, that looks like a Rebel kit too.
I've never done any military or aircraft. Really.
That's all right. We'll get you in the true face soon enough.
You get that type of finish with the Rebel.
I got, this is clear coated. All of these are clear coated. This one's got a kind of an orange peely effect that I'm not happy with.
Right. So you put it with the rattle pen and then you clear coat them.
Yes.
Okay.
Very nice.
That's how I paint mine.
What your model is on this tank?
69.
I'm impressed.
So I would like honest opinion of where I would stand with truly talented modelers.
I would think on you, like you said, on your scale of 1 to 10, you're about 4 or 5. I think you don't give yourself enough credit for.
Yeah.
You got really impressive work here. One suggestion I make on your moldings and your trim, get bare metal foil and try.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time.
It's hard to hear.
Bare metal foil
Yes.
comes
yes.
in the sheets.
Yes,
the
I have
chrome
some.
foil.
I just haven't tried it yet.
Give it a try. And one thing you have to, when they say use a practically brand new blade, they mean every word of it. But bare metal foil will do wonders for the chrome trim.
Yeah, I bought a package. I have already built these before I bought that, and I've got like 3 models in the wing that I'm going to try to use.
That's very good stuff. That's the main suggestion I made, because back in the day when I got back into doing models in college days, I used to brush paint a silver chrome trim. It looked good for about the first year or so, and then it just looked like dull metallic gray years later. But bare metal full, that's the stuff. But I like what you got there. I'm impressed with the story that old 71 together. I see them on eBay, even the built-ups of those dusters like that are out of sight. Price-wise, I mean, either they're junkers and the parts are falling apart in the box when they ship it. The prices they're going for those originals.
Back in, not this year, I think it was in 13, there was a little model show out at the service center. You guys know that. And they were selling some model cars. They had selling a bunch of stuff on there, but he had some models. And I picked up, it was a 60, it's 442. And I think it was the original from 1969. I'm not really sure. And it came out well. I painted it a stock color, factory color. But I'm sure everybody did it, but I did it. I was so mad, but I screwed up the rear windshield. I got glue out of that windshield. And the car came out well, but it ruined.
What's your name again?
I'm sorry?
What's your name again? Dave. Another thing on the clear parts, micro scale makes something. Basically, it looks like an Elmer's glue. About the consistency of Elmer glue.
If y'all want to, we'll just keep this moving over here. You want to talk to tips? That's absolutely great. It's going to keep everybody else moving. I just want y'all to know that we're not ignoring you.
Okay,
We're just moving on.
All right.
I'm still working on the first nuclear-powered cruiser. Just adding more details to it before I put more parts on it. I also started a 2000 scale aircraft carrier that I'm going to be finishing up sometime soon. There's not a lot of pieces to it.
Are you going to put the photo wedge on it?
On this, no. On this, there's going to be some. Not as much as there could be. Some of the railings I didn't want to take off, but there will be photo edge railing around the whole deck and some other pieces, antennas and things like that.
And what's the scale on that? Not the other way. What's the scale on that?
On this one, it's a strange scale. I don't remember what it was right off the bat. 500, I think.
It's like
514, something strange.
On scale.
Yeah. And then this one's a 2000 scale, and I seen that and it just really caught my eye. Thought it's neat.
He actually got that low one from mine are all 16. I have airplanes that are bigger than that.
But that's all I've been working with.
Mona finally got started on the property lead. We bought that kit at the last Memphis show they had. The guy assured me that all the pieces were there. Well, as it turned out, there was between 60 and 100 pieces missing. They consisted of all this stuff. So I bought a multi-saw and a bunch of plywood, and we sat down with tracing paper and pencil and drew all these pieces up from the plan. So she's finally gotten started on it. There's going to be an awful lot of work to do on that. This actually goes together like this. And that'll sit back on the back of the ship. With the solid hull is great for her because she doesn't have to fool with building the plank on the frame. The Amati kits have an amazing amount of really pretty detail in them. Window frames, ladders, all kinds of beautiful little pieces. And the plans are good. You just have to have the workers written in Spanish and direction looks at. You don't think Spanish,
English, a little.
Wow. Be interested to watch that progress.
Yes.
I'm still on this thing for William Lynn backstory. It's really starting to come together now. I've got a lot of the details on it. Hopefully have it done in the next 3 to 4 or 5 weeks. Just getting ready to put these 2 decks on there. I've still got to make sure they match up and everything.
What are you going to do for the railings on that upper deck?
They're going to be post and wire.
So you're going to actually hand make them, fabricate them?
No, they're in the kit.
They're in the kit?
They're in the kit. That's one piece of it. I do have to match them up to the new day. This railing up here came with the kit. Of course, there was searchlight comes up here, so I had to straighten them out. But this is going to be covered with simulated canvas. I use tinfoil for that. It kind of had a canvas windbreaker on that upper piece. This is my little scratch-built 11 ounce. Not finished yet, but it's looking somewhat like the original piece. This deck's in place, got the supports under it. The big hassle, I decided to put the hatch dogs on this, and they're pretty medium. There's 6 on each one of the watertight doors.
And did that come with your photo etch, or did you fabricate that?
That's a Edward kit. I had to buy an extra kit of it. He had one with it. I had to buy an extra kit because of the number of the extra doors on the ship. I built these what I call door boxes to hide where the open door is. I've decided to go back and turn that gray instead of black on the inside. I think it'll look better. One of my major problems this weekend will be matching these 2 decks up so they're even. I got my plaques finally made. This is the final cut of the information plaque. We have a handicap school up there in Clarksville that does this stuff. These 2 plaques cost me $20. This is a presentation plaque for Mr. Baxter. It's going to be screwed on today. I'm going to miss this thing when I give it to him, I'll tell you that. Hopefully it'll be good enough to make it happen.
It's turning out real nice.
One thing that shocked me, the photo etch set didn't have the propeller guards in it. So I had to use the plastic propeller guards, which to me they're always a little bit out of scale. I discovered in some of the pictures that they have an identification number on the front turret, so I got that on there. In my boat davits, I had a rainstorm in the middle of the night. They have a tie-back cable on with a turnbuckle in the middle of it. And I figured out if I used the right size plastic rod and put a piece of tubing over it, it would represent the turnbuckle, and then use some fine copper wire on each end of the thread. That'll be an extra detail. Anyway, maybe done by next month.
I guess he does.
Somebody scratch built a whole bunch of turnbuckles. Copper wire may be too soft.
Oh my goodness.
Well, that's not what we're
Well, what I found was when you start to.
Oh, that's just funny. Okay, just so we know we're ignoring y'all, but we're going to move on.
He's just being a pain in the butt.
Go ahead.
This is the ICM kit I bought at the show. I bought it last month. I didn't quite have it done. I just had a wall here. It was just an open space. So what I did, I took some more of the foam and built it up. And then put some pre-mixed tile grab back here and let it harden up. Painted it and add some more vegetation. I also added another barrel here and I put some lead foil on it. It was painted and I put some dust on it, just fill in the hole here. I think that was pretty much done. I had an urge lately to do a car. I got this on eBay real cheap. It's the AMT 125th scale 37 Chevy modified. I painted the body with rattle can, chrome yellow. I did first put down some places where there'd be rust, did the salt technique, and then sprayed it, and then come back and chipped it up. I also did a lot of budding on it. I wanted it to look like 1950s dirt track race up in the Midwest United States. And I used a combination of Ames products, 3 or 4 different shades of dirt. I used the MIG pigments, and I also had some AK Interactive and I added baking powder to give it some thickening here, so it looked like it's built up mud. I gotta come in here now, put some feature on here to sort of seal that in, and come back and do another matte finish on it. Something significant about it, I just turned 64 in December, that's the year, and my father-in-law's name is Jax, so there happened to be a Jax speed shop with Jax sign along with the speed shop sign of the same color. So that's what I put on there. Now, which is something I want to do, I'll probably enter that in the Car Guys show this April. And on a personal note, my youngest son graduated college in December, and I am done with college.
Yay.
And he started a new job last Monday at FM Global in Plano, Texas. So.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, I owe extra money.
Okay, I got 2 things I'm working for on the Atlanta show. Believe it or not, this is a 1/48 scale. It's the British Dingo Mark II armored car. Looks more like 1/72nd, but it really is 1/48. It's a Mia kit. It's a very straightforward, very easy build. Goes together really nicely. There is an aftermarket photo etch kit that goes with this. Originally I was going to open it up because they all supply 2 figures with this, but I felt because the kit interior, it's very sparse, doesn't look that great opened up, so I decided to close it, and I'm just going to, it's ready for paint and stuff. This other model has a 1/72nd scale. It's a German Sturmgeschütz. And trying to get this also ready for Atlanta. So, and for the Dingo, I kind of got inspired by box art on this. It's a urban scene, and see this. I did this a long time ago. It was Scratch built this. This is for Flames of War stuff, and I kind of got inspired by it. So I'm going to try do this on a bigger scale for the Dingo here. See how that goes. That's it.
It's the bust I'm doing called the Hag Witch. It's a kind of a caricature of a witch. Her arm fits like this. She's holding a crystal ball. I'm going to paint the crystal ball in some translucent colors, and she's bald because in the kit's included a bandana, and you put the bandana around her head, and it has some tufts of hair coming out, and has some beads because she's supposed to look like a gypsy witch, and so that kind of covers her head. Gives you some goose feathers to kind of go along here to give her a little extra. It comes with a pedestal that Ron's finishing up for me because there was a huge step on it, and so I didn't want to mess with it. He said he was going to clean it up, so that's what he's doing. This is I bought this yesterday. It's a little, I know this is not what we do, but I bought a little quadcopter yesterday. I haven't flown it yet, but it's got a little camera on it, so I'm going to spy on my neighbors. She's pretty good looking. But that's all I got.
You thought about that Cheetah stuff?
No, chip it. Good idea.
It was the guys in the store here that recommended you use it that way.
Yeah. Roger specifically?
I have no knowledge of that. The only thing I brought today is something, some of you guys have eyesight that approximates my own, which is not so good. Most of you are much better. But it's a new tool. It's from Carson's. Has a small light on it, LED, so it gives you very good lighting, and it allows you to move it around very easily. And the best thing about it though is it comes with 4 different lenses that just pop in and pop right back out, so you don't have to worry about using a Torx head screwdriver or a Phillips head screwdriver and losing those little bitty tiny screws. It's retails for about $45. Talk to Roger about them. I'm going to get him the information, see if he can't get some of these in, because it's a very lightweight head viewer rather than some of the heavier ones that you see. Everybody wants to check it out, come by and take a look.
Dick man's all you can build a model across the street.
Yeah, it's a very, I mean, come check them out.
Okay, while waiting for tracks to arrive for my 141 Walker Bulldog, which I now have, through metal tracks, I started on this thing, which I have through tracks for, so I've got 2 sets to play with now. I'll be busy drilling out little track lengths.
That's the easy part of the
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, I can already tell from test fitting that some major clamping may be required between upper and lower holes. This thing, as it says, was a mobile artillery observation post. So it was a forward observation vehicle for artillery spotting. It had all kinds of sighting and ranging devices. And this, a lot of people mistake this for a 105. This is a dummy gun made either of wood or sheet metal. Why it was so abbreviated and in such an odd shape, I don't know, but that's the way they did it. These were built, they built allegedly 41 of them on old Panther D hulls that were brought back for repair. And the kit shows the Panther D, the old style drum cupola, but the only and heavily retouched photograph I've ever seen of one of these. It had the later Panther cupola, which makes sense because it had better periscopes and afforded better protection, so I scrounged one from a Dragon kit of this and found some periscopes in a Tamiya kit of a steel wheel Panther that fit very nicely into the little periscope housings. And so I started working on the turret. The suspension is done and painted as I went along. The process was paint the rubber rims, paint the inside of the wheel. It started with the insides first. Install the mud, paint the interior parts of the wheels, do the wash on them, install it, then paint the outside, then go on to the next set. So you got 32 road wheels here, which is occupational hazard in dealing with late war German vehicles. That's all installed, and then the full model tracks will go on, and then later on the adventure of trying to fit the upper and lower holes, which may be a source of major aggravation. There's a little warpage in this lower hull. Had some trouble with the fit of the rear plate at the sponsons, so that may be the source of the problem, but one way or another, by golly, it's going to go together.
Did you check the sprockets to make sure they would fit on those full tracks?
Yes, I did.
Good for you. Only make that mistake once.
Yeah. They fit. They're going to be really tight going around these rear idlers. they also fit. It's going to be a matter of
They will fall off.
yeah. And I've got a set of photo etch, courtesy of Steve, photo etched intake and fan screens for the thing. And that's it. I think we're
Appreciate everybody coming out today. I thank all of y'all for your participation, your ideas, your thoughts. That's what keeps us going, keeps us moving in a forward direction. Y'all have a great time. Have a good month. We will see you back here in February.